Welcome to Praetorian Guard System Security 101 for Windows domains. Praetorian Guard is a Microsoft-based network management, network monitoring, and employee monitoring system. This course is designed to give you a high-level overview of how Windows service users can be assigned to the corresponding Praetorian Guard services for security purposes on your Windows domain network. The Praetorian Guard product has three types of services. The three service types are a prefect, a tribune, or a centurion. There can only be one prefect server for a given licensed Praetorian Guard installation. That prefect server acts as your primary service on the network. The second level is a tribune server, and then the third is the centurions. You can have an unlimited number of tribunes for a given prefect server, provided they are licensed, and you can have an unlimited number of centurions for a given tribune. The only dependency here is how many centurions can a tribune manage. The prefect server deals with all licensing of the Praetorian Guard product. It manages all of its assigned tribunes, and it also manages communications amongst the services and ensures they're assigned properly and the database configuration data is updated as you update that data within your consoles. The tribune can have, you must have at minimum one tribune, but you can have an unlimited number of tribunes. It acts as a manager of centurions and collects data from those centurions and puts it into your SQL Server database. Tribunes are designed to scale out, so you can have as many tribunes as you need for your enterprise. Whether you assign 20, 50, 100, 200 centurions to a given tribune, and how much processing that CPU and processor can handle depends or varies from organization to organization. A centurion actually resides on each PC and server that is monitored on your network. The purpose of the centurion is to collect data and assist in managing these devices on your network. So once again, one prefect server can have many tribunes, and each tribune can have many centurions. Now, for security purposes, we recommend that the prefect server is placed under a Windows domain user account that is a domain administrator, which is typically called domain admins. When you install the Praetorian Guard product, you're prompted for this service account, which is covered in a separate course. And this prefect user is assigned the database owner of the SQL Server database for this Praetorian Guard installation. The tribune then must have a user assigned to it, and it's automatically created within the prefect and assigned the proper database access within the database server. But the tribune must have administrative privileges at minimum on the machine on which it's installed, which can exist either on the prefect, so you can have a tribune installed on the prefect for smaller organizations, or on a separate computer, whether it be a PC or a server-based operating system of Windows. Praetorian Guard requires that you have at least XP or newer to run the tribune or prefect server. Next, each centurion must at minimum have administrative privileges on the PC or server on which it is monitoring. So, recap. The prefect server is recommended to be a domain administrator. The tribune at minimum must be an administrator on itself, as well as all children centurions it monitors. And each centurion must be an administrator on the PC on which it's installed. Or basically a local administrator. We recommend at minimum that you create a separate service account for each service type. So while you can do one user and assign it to all services, we would recommend that typically in a workgroup environment or a small organization. So that That is completely supported by the product, but it diminishes your ability to track users that may have been violated or accessed incorrectly or used for evil purposes within the organization. So for auditing purposes, we like at minimum to have each service type to have its own user. So under that instance, we could have a prefect server, which is the prefect user. Then Tribune could be Tribune number 1, would be its user. And then we could create a Centurion user, which is assigned to all PCs. This is it's not technically the minimum, but it's the minimum that we recommend for the Praetorian Guard product. This allows you to see if a prefect has been compromised, a Tribune, or a Centurion. The second option is to do a more consolidated approach, where basically the prefect server has a user, the Tribune has a user, here we see Tribune 2, and then we consolidate PCs, and these groups of PCs use one user each. So for instance, the accounting department here might have Centurion 1, Centurion 2 is managing the salespeople, and we could have two servers being managed by Centurion 3. This allows, if Centurion 2 has been compromised, to know that this is the user that was compromised and which computer should be corrected with the new user or what have you. It just starts breaking down your security in a more detailed fashion for you to audit and see what may have occurred on your network. The third option, which is the most secure, however the most complex approach, is to have the prefect server with one user, each Tribune with its own user, and then a new user for each Centurion. So basically every machine would have its own Centurion user that is an administrator on that PC. That Centurion has no access to any other computers on your network. So if this computer is compromised and Centurion A is accessed, that service user cannot be used on your network to access anything else other than this one box. So this is the most granular approach and the most secure method for your Windows domain. As far as SQL Server is concerned, the prefect accesses the SQL Server, as well as each Tribune accesses the SQL Server. Centurions do not have access to SQL Server. Instead, each Centurion will communicate with its parent Tribune, who then transmits the appropriate data to the SQL Server. This allows us to consolidate and limit who has physical access to the SQL Server for security purposes. In addition, it allows us to be more scalable and control the data access to the SQL Server, such as perhaps having a fiber backbone for these servers and their communication to the SQL box. Now a quick example for you. Here we can see in Active Directory we have the simple setup, which is the minimum we recommend, where we have one user for Tribune, one for Prefect, one for Centurion. In Active Directory, we've just created each of these users, and we've made sure that the Prefect is a domain admin. And then we assign the Tribune to administrator on each machine, and Centurion on each machine as well. In the most simple form, you can create each of these as a domain administrator if you wish, and just add complex passwords. That is a high-level overview of Security 101 for Praetorian Guard. We hope you look forward to other training videos and can learn more about the product. There's also System Security 101 for work groups, as well as installation for the product. If these videos aren't available at the time, they will be up shortly. Please visit www.praetorianguard.net for support, questions, or assistance in any fashion, as well as updates. Thank you.